Hi guys, it's Lori. Have you had to deal with a narcissist in your life? In one way or another, your boss, your spouse, your child, your parent, a friend. There's different levels of narcissism too. We can go from, the self centered, kind of arrogant, narcissistic person all the way down to the malignant narcissist with NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, with sociopathic tendencies. Are you dealing with anybody like that? We've got, at least in, what was it, way back in like 2006, a study done in the United States that there was like 6% of Americans suffered from narcissistic personality disorder. It was just a study done. I don't know what the actual numbers are now, but there's a good chance you've run into one. But have you ever been caught up with one? Let's talk about it. I'll be right back. Hopefully, I can help a little bit. Okay, guys, so we're talking about narcissists today. How do you know if somebody's a narcissist? Well, I mean, there's, you know, even narcissistic personality disorder has like a spectrum, okay? From like the covert narcissist to like the malignant narcissist. And then we have people that just have narcissistic tendencies, but they don't necessarily have narcissistic personality disorder. Like somebody who's really arrogant or critical. I've found that I think it's a spirit actually, because I have people in my life who have a critical spirit. They don't even know it. They criticize, and there's nothing wrong with telling a friend or a loved one or a family member that, hey, I'm worried about you. I think this is, going on, or that's going on, or, have you thought about this or whatever. But it's another thing to make a person feel small, to make a person feel like they're not good enough in their own decisions or whatever like that. And we have to be really careful with our children, because what I've noticed just through my own life experience and through watching others is things like this happen in cycles. So, like, say your parent is, or caregiver, or some older sibling, a teacher that you have, like a long term or whatever, like a guardian, whatever, grandparent, aunt, uncle, whatever, is overly critical. Or so self centered. One thing that I've seen with a lot of children is they're not heard, like the kid's opinion isn't valued. If somebody tries to speak and they're never heard, it makes them feel like they are not worthy, they're not valued, they mean nothing. If somebody's overcritical of somebody, again, same kind of feelings come up, and what happens is that child comes up and it creates soul wounds. Do you know that somebody with NPD, and not everybody with NPD, but some people with NPD, or really arrogant people, or narcissistic people, and those like codependents, or what the psychology world calls empaths today, which I just have a different definition of empath, but for the sake of this video, I'll use the word empaths and codependents. They actually have, it's like a different result of the same wound many times. They're not feeling good enough, they're not feeling worthy, they're not feeling valued. So one person becomes the arrogant, the critical, the abusive person, does his or her best to achieve whatever, and be really, like, a lot of people may be like perfectionists or whatever, and then I'm just trying to make this straighter. It's not gonna work. And then the other person, on the other hand, feels unworthy and tries to help people all the time, and they can end up, so two ends of the same wound, right? Two end results of the same wound. So we have to be careful with our children. We really do. Between conception and 5 years old, they're like sponges. They're soaking up everything. Their soul wounds are developing at that age. I'm not saying they can't get one later, but stuff is developing there. Don't ever think that a little baby is not soaking stuff up. Or, I mean, look at how much they learn in the first year, the second year, the third year. I mean, they're learning so much. The world is just like, they're just exploring, right? It's just like this, they're sponges. They're just soaking everything up, including the good and the bad, right? Um, so, I want to go all the way to the level of like a malignant narcissist. Like, how do you know you're with someone who's a malignant narcissist? Even a covert narcissist, and everything in between. They don't normally show themselves initially. I mean, some people are so hate-filled, they can't hide it anymore. I know someone like that. And she's extremely abusive. I don't think there's any person that's ever gotten even somewhat close to her that wouldn't tell you that she is hateful and hurtful, you know. But most of the time, they're not going to introduce themselves that way. Even her, she attempts to come off as like a nice person. It just, I don't know, maybe it's just easier for me to see that kind of stuff, or maybe she can't hide it anymore. But some of their traits are, they enjoy the pain of others. They literally enjoy inflicting pain or watching pain of others. They may not sit there and go like that, but you can tell that they like it, that they get off on it almost, you know. Like I said, they may not be like, clapping and praising and shouting out, hey, I like this. They might even say, oh, I want to help you, but inside you know that they enjoy it. It gives them some kind of satisfaction. They usually, well, this is all narcissistic people, I think, whether they realize it or not, are manipulative. I think being manipulative, is a learned behavior. Some people are raised that way, and that's the only way they know how to get something. Some people are manipulative, and I think they don't even know it. It might be based out of fear or mousiness. Same thing. Here we go again with the, same soul wound, different reactions, like you can have a manipulative person that knows damn well they're being manipulative. And then there's other people that I wonder, are they just too fearful to come right out with it, I used to have a friend who, like, say she wanted you to grab her a sandwich. Instead of that, she'd say, oh, I'm so hungry. What are you doing? And she'd dance, and I'm just using that as an example, but she would dance around this, like, for 10 minutes. And she would expect you to say, oh, I'm going right out, do you want me to grab you a sandwich? And that's one of my pet peeves, is manipulation. Don't try to manipulate me. Just ask me. So I used to tell her that straight out. I'm not going to play into your manipulation. So although I was picking up what she was putting down, I would never say, hey, you want me to go get you a sandwich? I would hang up the phone without saying it. I was trying to tell her, hey, if you want to communicate with me, you've got to give me the opportunity to say yes or no. Don't try to pity me into something, or, don't manipulate me. It's one of my pet peeves. I hate it. And I will promise you that I'll do the same with you. I don't like to manipulate. If I'm telling you something's going on in my life, I'm not asking you for anything. I promise you that. Because if I want to ask you for something, I'm going to ask you for something. And a lot of people do that, I notice. Like, I'll be saying, whatever. Like, just for an example, let's say I said, oh, geez, I got to pay this. And I hear people say it all the time. Oh, if I had it, I'd give it to you. Well, that's not why I'm telling you. I'm just talking to you, If I wanted to ask you for it, I'd ask you for it, Not just money, anything. Because that's one of my pet peeves, so I'm not going to do it to anybody else. Malignant narcissists are usually just not nice people. They're mean. They're nasty. They're critical. And they'll get you to believe that it's you. I wouldn't have to talk to you like that if you'd stop doing that. Why do you keep doing that and make me, just like the typical physical abuser, male or female? Well, if you wouldn't have made me lose my temper, I wouldn't have hit you. See what you went and made me do? That kind of stuff. Can't handle criticism themselves. They get really freaked out if you try to tell them something out of love. And I don't even mean like mean criticism. I mean like constructive criticism. Can't handle it. They'll freak out. Sometimes they're paranoid. They are so nasty themselves, and we all project onto other people what we are. We all do that, even if we try really hard not to. We all tend to think naturally that other people think the way we do. And so they're so nasty that they start getting paranoid, thinking that everybody's going to be as nasty as them. And another thing that plays into that paranoia is they like to think that everybody cares what's going on in their life because, again, they're narcissistic. The world revolves around them. So they feel like they're so important that everybody around them cares, when in reality, probably nobody really cares what you had for lunch today or where you went tonight to go have a drink, But these people like, oh, don't tell anybody what I'm doing. No, nobody can know my life, They get paranoid. They have a lack of empathy for other people. They cannot empathize. In fact, they will go the other way. They'll jump to conclusions. Oh, I know that you did this or that or whatever. So therefore you are blah, blah, blah. I had this one narcissist I was talking about earlier, and she is horrible. She is a malignant narcissist with psychopathic tendencies. You cannot communicate with this woman. It's impossible. You can't engage with her. You cannot reason with her. You can't even have a regular conversation with her. Whether you're in a battle with her or not, just like for no reason at all. She's almost become like a non-person. It's really bad. She is really, really not a nice person. Anyhow, she mistakenly thought I called her a name. I did not call her a name. I don't call people names. I just don't do that. And I didn't do it. I was sitting right next to her daughter who did call her a name. But she mistakenly thought I did. And went on and on and on for like 2 or 3 weeks about how she doesn't appreciate being called names. Now, of course, none of us understood what she was talking about because I didn't call her a name. But then when we finally figured out that she thought it was me, it was like, oh, okay, well, no, she didn't. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. I mean, she wouldn't believe anybody. And then the next time I saw her, proceeded to call me all kinds of names. And I was like, okay. I didn't say a word. I just laughed at her. Nothing is ever their fault. They could do something wrong right in front of you and then do their best to convince you that they did not do that. I didn't do that. And like I said, if for some reason they can't get out of it, like if they broke your nose, it's your fault. It's your fault that I did that. You made me that angry. It goes along, with what I was talking about earlier. This is a malignant narcissist. And any kind of narcissist, it's best, the first thing and best thing and the only way that you can ensure that they won't hurt you is to completely disengage. Walk away, get away from them, don't walk, run, and never turn around, never look back. That's the best thing you can do, especially with a malignant one, because they will, just like a malignant tumor, spread. It spreads. It spreads, and it'll spread throughout your whole life with the purpose of destruction, absolute destruction and ultimate death, just like a cancer. But if you can't just walk out of their life, and you know what? Weigh it out. If it's a boss, do I need this job? Can I transfer departments? If it's a parent, weigh it out. Weigh it out. Because, yes, there are times you can't walk away from people. But there are times where you can. Now, if you can't walk away, you can still disengage. Put a wall of protection up. Do not argue. Do not try to be reasonable. Do not try to get your point across. Disengage as much as possible. Only interact when necessary. Don't argue. Smile. Be happy. Don't give them any reason. They still will bitch. They still will be mean. Don't engage. Refuse to engage. Do a lot of self therapy, have affirmations in your mind. Don't let negative thoughts get to you. Put that protective shield up so that you can disengage. Don't take it personally. It's very, very hard to do when you're in any kind of relationship with a person like this. Because what they do is they gaslight and they criticize and they get you to start believing that it's you. They are good. They will convince you that it's you. You're crazy. A lot of times, especially if it's like a spouse relationship, they will try to, isolate you from other people. They'll do that even if it's like a parent or whatever. They're oh my goodness, envious people. Like, say you're, a happy-go-lucky person, and you're good at your job, or you're a good parent, grandparent, whatever, and you're going about your life and good, and everything's good, and everybody's happy, and, you're not, like, high on the hog about yourself, but people get along with you. You like people, they like you. And along comes this person, in whatever role they're in your life, that's going to make them hate you even more, because they're so envious. Even if your life is poop, in every other aspect, but people like you, they're going to find a reason to hate you. And they're really big at bad-mouthing, gossip, spreading lies, literally trying to destroy people. And God forbid you tell the narcissist off, or God forbid you call them out on who they are, or God forbid you somehow insult the narcissist, because some, not all, but most narcissists will not forget it, and they will seek revenge. Most of these people will ultimately end up alone by the time their journey is, their time to leave this world and go to the next has come. Most of them will end up alone because they push everybody out of their life. Even people that try to help them, But they have delusions of grandeur. They think that they are wonderful, the best of the best of whatever, everything's about them. The world revolves around them. Like I said before, many of them wear a mask, and some of them are really good at it, especially with people that don't come close in their circle. They're just like co-workers, or if they're in a position of power, like people that look up to them. If they're a celebrity, like people that watch them or whatever, they may be able to pull that mask off. Or when you first meet them, when you first start dating them, it depends. It depends on what level they're at. But that's why we have to use discernment, watch for red flags, If you meet someone, say you go on a date, and they're talking, they just can't say anything nice about any one of their exes, about, anybody. If they're talking crap, the way I like to look at that is if somebody's gossiping about anybody, or talking about past relationships, past jobs, whatever, and everything is everybody else's fault, they don't take personal responsibility for anything, there's something wrong. That's a red flag. If they take personal responsibility, okay, that's, okay, I got you. We all make mistakes. I'd rather see somebody say, and then I screwed up and I did this. I'd rather hear somebody say that, because that's more real, If you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything. So if you and your ex had this horrible divorce, don't ramble and rant on about your ex. That's a red flag. Like, what about you? You're not perfect, right? So those are things to look for as far as a mask, okay? If somebody's like overly nice, or another one, if somebody has to tell you how nice they are, if they're constantly just saying, oh, I do so much for, there's this woman just the other day, she wears a mask and a lot of people don't see through it. I saw through it immediately. And she was saying I do so much for my kid, and I'm so tired, and on and on and on. And you know what? Like I said, maybe she does do a lot for her kid. Maybe she's doing too much, like she said. I don't know. But the way she presented, she could have said the same exact thing in a different way. But it's all about her. It's nothing about anybody else. And she didn't even take responsibility for volunteering to do everything for him. You know, little red flags. You can just look at them. But like I said, best fail-proof way to not be hurt by one is to avoid them at all costs. If you run into one, run away, don't walk. But if you can't do that, yeah, disengage. Don't allow yourself to be taken down by them, okay? And find a support group. Do not allow yourself to be isolated. That doesn't happen overnight, and it's not like you can't talk to anybody ever again. That's not how it happens. It happens slowly. Oh, your mother said this to me. I don't like your mother, so you distance yourself from your mother. Oh, your brother did this to me. Blah, blah, blah. And did you know he said this and that? And okay, now you pull yourself away from your brother. Your friend, blah, 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 you know? And it goes on. And before you know it, you're isolated. Don't allow anybody to do that to you. And remember, if somebody keeps making you think, like if you watch them do something or say something and they go, no, I didn't. Nope, you're crazy. If that keeps happening, go to the doctor and see if you have Alzheimer's. Kidding. But if you don't have a memory problem, chances are you're with a narcissistic person. All right, I hope this helps a little. I went longer than I was hoping to, but I will be back in the next video. You guys have a great day.